and I believe that is the stream online. Can you quickly, if you haven't already, pop me an invite? I think you have actually.
I have.
Yeah, there we go. We've got 17 people. I'm just going to invite my brother in a second. Yeah, so we have decided, well, at least Dark Inferno has decided.
It was an admin decision.
Oh, it was an admin decision, fair enough. That, unfortunately, you see, I can't really be in the admin chat whilst I'm commentating. I
Exactly.
can't see it, but it's really interesting that we've got the admin live for the Tier 2 races, because we're able to do, like, live penalties, and we're able to decide on the go. I'll tell you what would be interesting for next season, I've just realised, if we could maybe have, like, a Tier 2 set of admins that admin the Tier 1 race. Because I love it when we get live penalties and stuff like that for the Tier 2 races. I don't know, I guess something to think about.
Yeah, that is something to think about.
I've just invited
Yeah, trying to get some more people in.
Chills F1 in a couple of times. Hopefully he's able to join in. I'll message him.
So have I. I'm just inviting the last couple of people.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that Steph called the red flag as he is the Tier 2 director.
Ah,
And
very
it's kind
interesting.
of like a decision between me and him that, yeah, this is a restart.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Do you think any time penalties will be coming Tom Taylor's way?
I'm not too sure what happened with Tom Taylor.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. What I saw then, obviously, from United 199, who just swerved drastically to the left and right, was he was basically dodging Tom Taylor. So me saying he got oversteer, it was actually a stroke of genius. But then he did end up oversteering anyway, and ended up binning it. I mean, that was a spectacular crash. I feel like we're going to have to include that in the Season 2 kind of highlights. Yeah, you know it.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
I'm really looking forward to the highlights package. I hope that PJ can maybe slap one together before the start of Season 3.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I tell you what is a shame with that, though. we had like 14 or 15 spectators, and now we're down to like 8.
Oh no.
That is a shame. Right, quickly
They've
going
got to
on
come back.
videos.
They're missing out.
Yeah. Well, it is live, but for some reason, it's not popping up on my... Oh, there we go. You heard a bit of a trace of my voice then. I mean, you can hear my voice anyway. There we go. It says that 5 people are online or watching it. Man, unlucky.
How's it going funny doing this good editor thing? Ooh. I'm trying to do it as fast as possible.
Tom Taylor, what did I do?
Insane.
What did you do, Tom? That's what we're all asking. You caused the Third World War. But yeah,
can we talk about the newest additions to the grid? Tolop and Lemkes.
absolutely incredible.
Very impressive.
They're on fire.
Set of results so far.
Yeah, I believe that was P2 for Tolop and P3 for Lemkis, which is just great.
It was.
I mean, Tolop has been in this league for a bit of a while now. He actually participated in the World Cup. I think he was Oda's teammate. He was the driver who I unfortunately completely annihilated. I took him out under safety car. Remember that? And you were getting, quite rightly so, quite infuriated by me just turning around going like, I've just taken him out. I've just killed Tolop. But, oh man, I'm looking forward to the World Cup happening again. This is actually a perfect opportunity to maybe announce it. I'm not too sure. Are we going to be doing another World Cup in between Season 2 and Season 3?
Unfortunately not. We have very time limited in terms of what we can do. I would love to do it, but unfortunately we don't quite have the time to.
That is very sad, but it's understandable. That's fine. I mean, I'm really looking forward to Season 3. I'll tell you what another interesting thing is to discuss is... I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just watching that viewer count decrease from 8 all the way down to 5.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I don't think the viewers like watching the pre-race lobby cutscene or lobby screen. No, so what I was going to say is...
We are ready to go.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. before
Make
we
sure it's
restart the
spectator.
race. Oh yeah, I am. That would be
Nice.
embarrassing. Is how many tiers are we going to have next season? Do you maybe want to expand to 3 tiers?
So this is a very interesting topic. A lot of people have requested to help our, you know, saying we should expand the league,
Yeah.
and I will agree to that.
Wow.
Me and PJ have spoken quite a lot about what we could do. Tier 3 is an option, but also like a Premier tier, like you said, a wheel only to attract higher skill level, perhaps an assist tier.
Oh
Maybe
wow.
mix up the how many people what we've got in the league, and perhaps even expand to tier 3 along with that.
Wow, that would be interesting. Maybe not make it wheel only because I'd like to
Yeah,
participate in that Premier tier. And that
yeah,
means
we'll
that I
make it no
can,
assist.
yeah, I can commentate. Well,
Perhaps
maybe
fly
also
only.
allow the driving line. I
Yeah,
can't race
that's it.
without it. Okay, there we go. Um, I
But
mean,
as
I'm
we're
really
also going
looking.
on to the
Yeah.
formation lap, I would also like to explain. Um, oh, I've lost my train of thought now. That's not fun.
Oh, what the new server look? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it is pretty cool, but there's something else that
Oh,
has
okay.
escaped my attention. Ah, this is not good.
Yeah, I know it's fine.
Oh,
Take your
that's it.
time. Ah,
The
yes.
new graphics for season 3. Have you seen them?
No. Oh man. Oh no. Is
You
that just
haven't?
like the orange, like literally the
Yeah,
exact same? Oh no, dude. I have seen it, and it looked
yeah.
okay. I tell you what is really embarrassing though, and it is embarrassing. I believe it's Pudnik has been boosting this server now for a very very long time, and a boosted server can have an animated server logo. So what are we
Yeah.
doing with a static VFL logo on the Discord server?
Um, my skills lack in that department.
That is a fair point. Fair enough.
But we could ask PJ maybe for an update.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm just thinking, what else was I thinking of about VFL? Oh yeah, that's it. I really, really want to try and get a sponsor for VFL. So
Interesting.
I've been joining a lot of leagues recently that have kind of cash prizes, a bit like that stupid league that me, you, and Steph are joining for like £5.
Yeah.
But man, I know a lot of leagues that have sponsors now, and I remember we used to take the mick out having like an actual sponsor because we had the fake sponsors in season 1. I keep on forgetting to actually say them, but in season 1,
My
PJ was on
sausages.
top. Yeah, with saying Myers sausages every time, or as kind of a different sponsor every race. But if we can get an actual sponsor, we can maybe bang a £50 cash prize in for
That
the
would be
winner.
very interesting.
Man, we
Yeah,
would
it would
really
also.
get some proper pro drivers because
Yeah.
it kind of seems like at the moment VFL is producing a lot of kind of dominating performances. I mean, we have Poppy 30 points ahead of Tier 2. Robert DS is like 30 points ahead of Tier 1. And uh, last season even, sorry, it was kind of a bit of a battle between like the top 5 and then the rest were quite a bit behind. So if we do this Premier Tier, I'm looking forward to it. Me v Robert versus a bunch of pro drivers, and me and Robert are going to be absolutely destroyed. But I'm
Yeah,
looking
it'd be
forward to it
quite funny.
nonetheless.
Robert is 18 points clear of P2 and Connor Kid. So yeah, there are some very dominant forces present. We do
Wow.
have a Tier A prize for this season in Tier 1, but cash prizes do sound good. Anyway, we are now lining up for the start of this race.
That is very true.
Everyone
We
seems
have,
to be...
yeah, MF Underbosch, real quick, and Kevin Kearney, and Phil Donald, and Chills F1, all being disqualified from the formation lap, meaning they're going to have ice cold tyres. And we have a different set of drivers on mediums. You can see that on the left. It's
Okay.
too late now to go through it. Even so,
I'll watch Poppy down in P15.
I'm going to be flicking over to that main camera as the 5 lights gradually turn on. My eyes on. Nice job, mate. At the very front of the grid. It's 5 lights, ladies and gentlemen. And the Portuguese Grand Prix is underway. And it's an incredible start. from Nice Job Mate, and he's clear of the rest of the pack by quite a margin, and there's not much of a battle going on down the grid, not many overtakes at all.
Ooh, Gooders is round and turn 1.
Yeah, you're right,
Made
Gooders
contact
and
with
Chills
Poppy.
F1. Yeah, Chills F1 has been spun around, and there's another contact. That's ALB has just been spun around with Tristan. The two Haas drivers have been in collisions on the first lap. Tristan getting a 5-second time penalty for that collision between him and ALB. Bit of a battle happening in the midfield. It's absolutely crazy. MOC, Scruff, and MF Underboss kind of going a bit side by side. MOC all over the back of Scruff, heading into turn 8 Samsung, but it's not enough. He maintains his P7 position, and Tom's Vibin has oversteered outside of turn 8 Samsung and is drifting all around the grass and is all the way down to P16.
Real quick to butt in, Poppy has had a fantastic start and is up into P9
Exactly.
from P15. That is a fantastic start from him, and just ahead, MF Underboss and MOC, very tight fighting here.
Yeah, you are exactly right. Just quickly panning over to the position change. Yeah, 6 positions made up by Poppy and 5 positions made up by Pudnick. Chills F1, I believe, has just spun once again. Yes, unfortunately has, outside of, I believe that was maybe turn Portimao. Even so, MOC wanting to make a move on Scruff heading into turn 1. He's all over the back of him. He picks the outside line. Scruff on the inside. He cuts back on the inside and brakes earlier. Scruff goes incredibly deep on the brakes and just leaves the door open. MOC just slotting down the inside of Scruff and easily takes P6. That was an incredible move by MOC. But yeah, down the grid, Kevin Kearney getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple track infringements. And there seems to be a really tight midfield battle here, happening all the way from back MOC all the way down to P8. Kevin Kearney. There's about five drivers there within a second of one another. Gooders on the exit of turn 5 ends up oversteering. And that puts him all the way down into P15. And looking at the rest of the pack, I think I'm going to follow this close battle. 0.2 of a second between almost every driver. Poppy 1195, MF Underboss and Scruff. And really, I think you can drag MOC into that. He's already up into P4. He's been making positions like crazy. But yeah, these drivers are all over the back of each other. And I think the most likely overtake is going to be MF Underboss coming out of the penultimate turn, the final braking zone of Portimao. And now, round the flat-out final corner, he's got the slipstream on Scruff. And he's catching on him. He's side by side, heading into turn 1. And unfortunately, he does back out of that. That would be a suicidal move for MF Underboss. Scruff running wide on the exit once again. I've just noticed Tom Taylor is all the way up into P2. That's a brilliant result for Alfa Romeo. On the back of Tom Taylor's
switch for lead between, I believe that is Lemkes and Nice Job Mate. The grid order does not want to work, so I'm a bit confused as to what is going on here.
Yeah, but what's crucial is, yeah, so Nice Job Mate. Yeah, so real quick, first of all, MF Underboss makes a great move on Scruff in turn 5.
Side by side with Panthlon UK. He makes it past, heading into turn 8, I believe.
And Poppy is just overtaking Scruff, just heading towards turn 10. And what's interesting is, yeah, so it does say that Nice Job Mate's last, but he isn't. He is in first, meaning that Tom Taylor's actually in P3 and Tulip's in P2. But, yeah, panning over to the drivers, I'm kind of all over the place right now. Yeah, you're exactly right. Tristan, bit of a battle between Tristan and Panthlon UK. Tristan coming out.
Has to recover a lot of positions from a earlier spin on lap 1. He's gotten past a lot of drivers, however Gooders is still there.
Yeah, exactly.
P15.
And I think some of the drivers, like Pudnick, able to overtake 6 drivers already. I think that was aided by so many collisions happening down the grid. Talking about Pudnick, he's doing an easy move on his Alpine teammate Panthlon UK heading into turn 1. Absolutely textbook with DRS. And down the rest of the pack, obviously Lemkes
oversteered. Infamous Amos oversteered into the very famous turn 5, I believe.
Yes, you are exactly right. And due to, and that was incredibly close for the rest of the pack. Due to no ghosting, he's not able to reverse and join the track straight away. He has to wait for the rest of the pack to leave. And right now he's really struggling to get out of the grass. Not only is he in last position, but he's in so by almost 14 seconds behind his teammate ALB. Not good for Aston Martin, and just as I spectate ALB around turn 8, Portimao, he ends up oversteering. And really not good for Aston Martin in P18 and P19 in reality, because Lemkis is in P3 and Nice Job Mate is leading this race. Once again, it's kind of completely glitched out, the standings. Hopefully we don't get any infinite yellow flags.
MOC is vulnerable to the DRS of MF Underboss as he makes a textbook move down the outside of turn 1 and just makes it past without any contact. Now the two Ferraris are behind MF Underboss.
Yeah, exactly, and I wouldn't be surprised if MOC tries to make a move on MF Underboss heading into turn 5. He gets a good slingshot of an exit outside of turn 4, but it's a bit too good of an exit. He ends up running wide and unfortunately picking up a 3-second time penalty. And look at Poppy, he's all over the rear of his Ferrari teammate. He cannot wait to overtake him. I wouldn't be surprised if Poppy's fighting for the win in a couple of laps. He's done such a good performance from the back of the grid. Scruff getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple track infringements. Quickly panning over to the penalties. Scruff, Kevin Kearney even actually has 6 seconds worth of time penalties. Tom's vibing.
Dirty tyres, I think he has gone through the gravel trap.
Yeah, that
before
is
turn 7.
That is unfortunate.
But one thing I will bring to light as we watch this race, ERS recovery is non-existent here in Portimao.
Exactly.
So those with the high battery charge towards the end of the races are going to go help them so much.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I was finding during my practice race that you only gain about 10% ERS in Portimao per lap, even when you don't touch the button whatsoever, which is really interesting. And it's so easy to kind of waste all of your ERS on the first couple of laps. See, my eyes on a driver like Scruff still on 70% ERS, and real quick, we've completely forgot the fact that Kevin Kearney has completely oversteered on the exit of, I believe that was turn 1. He's lost us an immense amount of positions. He's all the way down in P12 right now. Let's Drew good as 12.03, so he's actually all the way down into P13. In fact, there's a bit of a battle between Kevin Kearney and Gooders in turn 5, but Gooders gets DRS and he does overtake. But yeah, unfortunate for Kevin Kearney, a bit of heartbreak for Red Bull and for Aston Martin.
I wonder if there's any team orders for Ferrari, as they're very close to each other. Poppy with an amazing comeback. Poppy obviously leading the Drivers' Championship. Would you wonder if there are any team orders for MOC, or do you think that they'll be batting out?
Well, that's a very good question. I think there doesn't really have to be many team orders, because Poppy 1195 is going to have DRS on MOC heading into turn 1. MOC, of course, is 1.7 seconds behind MF Underboss, so he won't be having DRS, and it's as easy as that for Poppy 1195. Already a car and a half in front of MOC.
Kevin has been disqualified from the session.
That is unfortunate. That may have been some sort of rage quit for Kevin Kearney, since he had an incredibly unfortunate incident, and there's not too much of a chance to recover after a situation like that. But yeah, so Poppy 1195 in P5 after overtaking his Ferrari teammate into turn 1. What's interesting is it's kind of hard to follow who's driving where. Nice Job Mate is leading despite it saying that he's in P18, and behind him is Tulip, and then behind that in P3 is actually Lemkis with Tom Taylor in P4. It's easy if you follow the map in the bottom right hand corner, ladies and gentlemen. You're able to notice the correct order, and I believe it's the correct order for the rest of the pack, so just minus a couple of positions. Yellow flag in sector 1. I think that's glitched out because there hasn't been an incident. That's just infamous aim. Unfortunately, he's over 24 seconds behind his Aston Martin teammate.
A little bit of data for you. Poppy is roughly 0.3 a sector faster than MOC currently, so there is a relatively big pace gap. However, he does get DRS. Would he be close enough to make a move down into turn 1?
I definitely don't think so, but that gap is closing rapidly. MOC almost running out of battery completely heading it down into turn 1. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to make a move on Poppy heading into turn 5, that heavy braking zone after the second DRS straight. MOC running immensely wide on the exit of turn 4. He must have gotten a time penalty or some sort of warning for that. and he doesn't make an overtake. What does happen though is Tom's Vibin makes an overtake on Pudnick through, I believe that was about turn 3. And that is a brilliant move for Tom's Vibin. You don't see many overtakes heading into that heavy braking zone of turn 3 or turn 4. Yeah, turn 3, the heavy braking zone of turn 3. I think I'm going to be panning over all the way since there's quite a big gap between Poppy and MF Underboss. I think the main thing to watch right now is this battle for, I believe it's about P2 between United 199, Tom Taylor, Tulip, and of course Lemkis, who is actually in P3, with Tulip being in P2. And can we just appreciate the fact that Nice Job Mate is leading Tulip by, it must be a couple of seconds at this point, maybe even about 3 or 4. I've just been counting, it is about 4 seconds.
Looking at the track map, it looks to be relatively closer than 4 seconds, if you do ask me.
Oh, wow.
It looks around a second and a half, so definitely out of DRS range.
Well, that is really good insight. What's interesting is Lemkis has got DRS on Tulip. In fact, he doesn't have DRS, I do apologise. It's actually Tom Taylor, who was the only driver who had DRS. He had DRS on Lemkis. But it doesn't really matter because we weren't able to see an overtake for any of the drivers. Will there be a bit of a DRS train form? I hope not. This DRS train runs all the way down to MF Underboss, who's actually in P6, despite it saying that he's in P4.
A nice quirk of Portimao is that middle sector and final sector can really break or make DRS trains. For example, in Tier 1, Robert was able to pull enough pace out of me in the middle sectors in order to break my DRS.
Yeah. It's such a tricky corner, or kind of sequence of corners to get right. In all honesty,
Definitely.
it's such a difficult track to get right, with all of the
Very unique.
undulation changes, and you've got, you know, such steep kind of cambers heading into certain corners. Yeah, it's one of the toughest tracks to get right, and you're certainly right. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the drivers here today are literally a second faster than the rest
Very
in a single
unique
sector.
braking set. You need to come into this race with a different mindset of braking. You have to brake very deep and late into corners, and also trail braking will be huge here. And locking up was a massive factor in everyone's races, especially in Tier 1.
Yeah, especially in Tier 1 where the drivers aren't using ABS. And for any Tier 2 drivers that aren't using ABS, yeah, you're quite right. Just spectating with Tom Taylor here, I think the corner you're talking about that is so easy to lock up and trail braking is necessary is on the run up to turn 10, Portimao. It's this turn right here, you're braking whilst turning, and it's so tricky to get right and hit the apex.
This is exactly the corner I was talking about.
Yeah.
Nailing that could gain you tenths of seconds of leverage per lap.
Yeah, exactly, and what's interesting is you've got quite a few different angles that you can actually take. Got yellow flag in the middle sector, I believe that is ALB run, going quite slow. But yeah, so what I was going to say is that turn 10, you've got so many different angles. You can kind of go wide and then go deep and get a brake very late, but also you can brake quite early as well. Quite a few overtaking opportunities heading into turn 10.
Indeed, ALB has actually lost his front wing entirely. He must have hit that wall between the exit of turn 5.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's such a tricky corner to get right. It's the turn that the rest of the pack are actually going past right now. We have, I believe that is Lemkis right on the back of Tulip heading into that really heavy braking zone at turn 5. And unfortunately for Lemkis, I imagine he would wish that that straight is just a few meters longer, because he's all the way, he's still not able to overtake. It says that he's all the way down in P17. In reality, he's actually in P3.
Poppy loses position to MOC.
Oh, wow. And Poppy is really squirrely coming out of the exit of, I believe that's turn 8 Samsung. Did you see
I did catch
Poppy?
that. I caught some of that. I saw his back end wobbling around there.
Wow.
Again, very tricky corner to get right. Robert DS in the race did lose it coming out of that corner, so I wouldn't be surprised if that will be a huge trap for some of the Tier 2 drivers today.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me on to kind of setups, because it's one of these tracks in which you're going to have an extremely high amount of rear downforce because of these really steep uphill corners, but also it's a very high downforce track in general, and that's why you don't see many overtakes happening on that straight. Even though it's
Definitely.
absolutely massive, It's like Monaco kind of setups around here. You can struggle to even reach 8th gear on that straight, and also it's probably the reason why so many people lose ERS so quickly. But real quick,
You're definitely right. The first round of
MOC,
pit stops.
yeah, the first round of pit stops, you're exactly right. MOC LFC going on to a fresh set of mediums, and Scruff boxing just behind for a fresh set of mediums. Tom Taylor already on the medium compound, just quickly panning over to the tyres and the stops. Yeah, so Tom Taylor, so both Alfa Romeos and the Ferrari of MOC LFC are the first 3 drivers to box on lap 11. And that is... Oh yeah, go ahead.
To see if the overcut or undercut works, because in Tier 1 the overcut was actually faster than the undercut, especially for the top 5 guys who are right in the dirty air. I've just seen MF Underbox, I believe he's just lost a few positions there.
Oh dear.
On the exit of... I have no clue which
or like one of the penultimate corners. I know exactly what you mean.
I don't think he's lost positions, but he's definitely shaking up because he's dives into the pit lane.
Yes. Yeah, I was kind of following that a little bit. But what's interesting, you say that the overcut is faster than the overcut. That may be because a lot of the drivers in Tier 1 went on the hard compound, and I'm sure that the hard compound may have even been slower than old softs. But what we see in Tier 2 is almost every driver is boxing around lap 11 or lap 12 for mediums. And through my research, I've found that even though the game says that mediums are impossible to finish the race on, I found that it is definitely possible. And what's interesting is, yeah, we saw a lot of drivers in Tier 1 box for hards and make them last until the end. One driver of note was Mr. Tom Taylor himself. He ended up taking home P2 on like, what was it, like 20 lap old hards at the very end. So
definitely, yeah. My tyres were on 60% wear towards the end of the race. They were on mediums. I did box on lap 12.
Yeah.
And carry them all the way to the end. They do drop off. They don't drop off significantly, but they do gradually get there.
Exactly, and we have ALB, unfortunately, crashing, I believe that is turn 10 of Portimao, right on the exit of it, running quite wide. And Tulip as well is the next driver into the pits, also going on to a fresh set of mediums.
Now we can definitely see if the overcut will work, because the United one is yet to pit.
Yeah, so as we can see right here, Nice Job Mate is actually in P4 right now. It's actually quite difficult to realise. We have quite a few drivers who haven't pit, and also we've got quite a few drivers who have started on the mediums. Like, for example, Phil Donald is right in front of his Mercedes teammate. He's yet to pit. And especially with this glitch, with saying that Nice Job Mate and Lemkis are at the back of the grid, very difficult to kind of keep an eye on the positions of every driver. But I believe Nice Job Mate right now is around P4. The driver who's leading, according to my game, is the United 199. Yet to pit.
That is the same for me.
Yeah, he's really gone for a late pit stop, lap 13. In fact, lap 14. Will he finally box for mediums on this lap? He's going for the overcut.
I definitely would. Watching him is very apparent that his tyres are
Oh no!
But he stays out.
He stays out for another lap, so he's going to be boxing lap 15 at the earliest, even. What's interesting is that, like you were talking about, those mediums at the very end are absolutely butchered. You know, you're talking 60% wear. I think I ended up on about 65 to 70% wear. Maybe the overcut might be the strategy, because the softs definitely on almost 70% wear when you box. See, that might be the strategy from the United 199. He might box maybe 3 or 4 laps later on the softs, but just you wait until the final lap when everybody else is on 70% wear and the United 199's on 50% wear. We really could see a last minute overtake. This could be a stroke of genius. Yeah.
I will actually pan over to his lap times to see if the clean air has helped him out.
Oh yeah, it is definitely helpful being able to pan over to the race director.
Indeed, and his lap times have fallen off dramatically in lap 13 and 14, being more than 4 to 5 tenths slower.
Yeah, and I'm just spectating the United 199 now, and I know he was quite significantly slower this lap. He must be coming in this lap because this overcut even, is affecting him dramatically. And he's lost it. He's got a puncture around the final corner, so he was really pushing his tyres right until the very end. That's incredibly well kept from the United 199. Wow, that was absolutely incredible. So I was just about to say that those softs aren't being pushed right to the limit. I was saying that, you know, they're not on 70% wear. Well, they must be on about 80% wear for the United 199 to actually get a puncture on the final corner just before boxing for mediums. That is how long United 199 has been staying on those tyres, and it just makes you think, imagine if that puncture happened a couple of corners earlier. Extremely well kept for the United 199, though, to not end up losing the car entirely and DNFing. Hats off to him, because that was
pushing the absolute limits of those tyres. They were dropping off dramatically, but I had no idea that they would be in puncture territory. And lap 15 of that.
Yeah, that really was something. I've never seen a driver kind of keep the car and not lose the rear after a puncture.
I think that's the first puncture I've seen in VFL. Oh, Tom Taylor getting a snap of overstake.
I just noticed that. Yeah, I'm spectating Tulip right now, and I think he's going to be eyeing up Tom Taylor all over the back of Tom Taylor into turn 10 Samsung. He brakes early, goes for a wide line, but unfortunately he isn't able to make a move on Tom Taylor.
I wouldn't advise an overtake into the middle sector. It's very difficult to stick a wheel on someone's inside or even go around the outside, so he's keeping it patient. He's being patient to try and get a better exit as Tom Taylor, which you don't think he does.
Yeah, unfortunately he not.
DRS.
Yeah, the question is whether Tom Taylor will get DRS, and he does get DRS on Lemkis in front, and that just means that Tulip is going to have to wait yet another lap until he's able to overtake Tom Taylor for, I'm not too sure what lap it would be. But yeah, so a quick rundown of the standing, or at least of the race right now. So I believe we do still have Nice Job Mate leading the pack. In fact, no, the actual leader of this race is Tristan. He's yet to box. He's started on the medium tyre. He's been on him for 16 laps. And if we expect the drivers to box for mediums on lap 11, I think they're going to be boxing for softs on lap 22. So we'll see Tristan come in the next 5 or so laps. But yeah, so Tristan's leading. Behind him is Nice Job Mate, who is leading Lemkis and the rest of that pack by quite a margin. Just behind him is the lapped ALB, or it's actually the lapped Infamous Aim, and then behind him is Phil Donald, who's also on that alternate strategy. And then in P4, but in reality P2, because you've got to factor in the gentleman on the different strategy, we have Lemkis, and behind him Tom Taylor and Tulip 012, and then the rest of the pack is just as you imagine. Got a bit of a battle between MF Underbosch, United 99, Poppy and MOC. Gooders behind, Tom's vibing, and then Pantlon UK.
Some other
Scruff.
Interesting information.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Scruff has just binned it entirely, completely spun on the exit of, I believe that's turn 9. It's not a corner you see many drivers DNFing on, and a virtual safety car's been called because ALB has just
and he's
binned
lost it again, and I think that's a DNF. It is.
And that is a DNF. That's incredible. I can't believe I just panned over as he loses it. A full course safety car has been called, and this plays right into Tristan's hands, who is leading this race by quite the margin ahead of Phil Donald. And surely this is Tristan's. This is exactly what Tristan wanted, starting on the median compound. This is absolutely incredible. Tristan is guaranteed to lead this race. After boxing, he's either going to come out in the lead or maybe in P2. But what's crucial is whether or not Nice Job Mate is going to pick for a fresh set of softs. I believe he has, actually. It says that Nice Job Mate's on the softs right now, so maybe he went for the soft medium strategy, and that's why he's so far ahead of the rest of the pack. So Nice Job Mate is almost guaranteed to pit for mediums. So yeah, Tristan goes into the pits. He's obviously going for a fresh set of softs. Question is he going to come out ahead of that middle of the road pack? You're talking Lemkis.
Nice Job Mate stays out, but he fakes out Phil Donald, who needed to pit anyway. However,
yeah, so Nice Job Mate is leading, and Lemkis in P2, Tom Taylor in P3, and Tulip in P4.
Tristan
And
had to serve a 5-second time penalty,
oh,
I believe.
that really is unfortunate because he would have come out ahead of Poppy 1195. But even so,
This is massive for him. He
regardless,
was last on the first lap.
yeah. But I've just realised, yeah. So this is massive for Tristan. He's in P6, and what's so massive is the fact that all the drivers ahead of him are going to be on mediums whilst he's on softs. I wouldn't be surprised if Tristan can make a couple positions, but I have just realised, Dark, Tristan's boxed for softs, and we saw that United 199 got a puncture after being on those softs for 15 laps. Meanwhile, Tristan is going to have to be on these softs for 13 laps until the end of the Grand Prix. So
I
it will
think
be
on the safety car, and especially since I don't think the safety car will be in until 2 laps after this one.
yeah, you
I
are
think he would
right.
safely make it. However, it'll be very tight, and he has to make the positions as soon as the safety car goes in to maximise those tyres, because everyone in front of him has older tyres, harder tyres, 6-lap old mediums, 2-lap old mediums, and he has got fresh set of softs, especially since we saw the puncture lap 14, lap 15. He's going to have to pray that his tyres do not explode towards the end. And also Phil Donald, who is right behind Tristan, also in the box seat to get some very good positions, and so is MOC, who's whacked on a new set of mediums.
Yeah, you're actually quite right with that. MOC and P8 on the fresh set of mediums. And Pantalon UK has just dived into the pits. Gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's not going to be happy with that. Yeah, extremely unfortunate, especially under safety car. I've just gotten a message on Discord. Right,
I believe it is Steph worrying about a glitch lobby.
No, it's actually WOR. Oh dear. Even so, yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you're a little confused, Tom Taylor is not leading this race. The drivers in P1 and P2 are actually right at the very bottom because it's glitched out. It's actually Nice Job Mate in P1 and Lemkis in P2, and then the rest of the pack follows them. I mean, this is incredibly interesting. I'm kind of speechless at the moment because
What's
I
also
really
very
do not know.
interesting is that Lemkis actually does not have a setup on because he forgot, and he is still retaining his P2 position.
Yeah, that really is remarkable, especially if he's just using the default setup. I think the wings are like 8.8 by default.
They are 8.8, so it's not a bad setup for Portimao, but he'll be tragically slow on some of the corners.
Exactly. You want a really high downforce setup in Portimao, so he is going to be kind of oversteering like crazy outside of some of the really steep corners. But I'm just quickly checking, PJ. I just called you PJ. Dark, sorry.
I'll take PJ.
I'm not too sure whether this is a glitch, but it looks like they're on the softs to me. Nice Job Mate and Lemkis are both on the softs.
Apparently on the softs, that is very true.
And they both started on the softs, meaning they have to box.
And they've also switched positions, which makes me believe that this glitch that they're facing is making the game not realise where exactly they are on the grid. So, provisionally, Tom is leading according to the game. However, the game is, I'm guessing, not very happy about this, so we could see, I hope not, but we could see a glitch happening here.
I'm not too sure. I do hope that the game kind of sorts it out, but hopefully we don't receive a glitch. Obviously, we're still waiting for Chills F1 to reach the back of the grid. I think that we will see the race resume. But what's crucial is, I think, I mean, I hate to call a race early, PJ, but I think it's all over for Nice Job Mate and Lemkis if we don't see another safety car. Because if both drivers started on softs, you obviously have to use 2 different compounds in the race. And we didn't see either driver head into the pits and box for mediums. So what this means at the moment is that before the end of the race, both drivers are going to have to pit. They're going to come out around P8, and that means that Tom Taylor is going to be leading this Grand Prix behind Chalup and MF Underboss.
I do wonder.
Yes.
Lemkis and Nice Job Mate are actually on the soft, because it might be a complete visual glitch and they'll have box for fresh mediums. However, you're very true in saying that Lemkis will have to actually box off lap 11.
Yes, you are right. First of all, I do think it's a glitch They say that their tyres are 8 laps old or 11 laps old because it says that they're on like lap 10 and lap 12 respectively. But I do definitely think that they are in softs. Luckily, the race is resumed and the safety car is in this lap, but I do think they're on the softs just before the racing resumes. As it stands, unless there's another safety car, which will really throw a spanner in the works, Nice Job Mate and Lemkis will have to pit before the end of the Grand Prix, and maybe the game's been right all along and Tom Taylor is really leading this race. Even so, ladies and gentlemen, as the safety car restarts, Nice Job Mate going incredibly slow, making sure that the safety car can pull into the pits. And I'm sure that Lemkis and all the rest of the drivers will be ready to have their finger on the gas. And there we go. The safety car has restarted.
Green flag has been woven, sorry, yellow flag apparently, in sector 3. That's weird. Anyway, Tollop's trying to make a move on Tom Taylor down in zone 1, but doesn't quite make it. And everyone kind of resumes positions, apart from MOC, who's done a massive battle pack. Can you see this, sick boy?
Yeah, I'm more bothered about the fact that the game's completely glitched out, and it says that Lemkis is actually in the pitch right now, and if you look, it's just teleported from having soft tyres to mediums. Like magically. So I think the game is completely glitched out right now, and maybe the two drivers are on mediums, they're just pretending like they're on softs.
The Nice Job Mate is apparently still on softs, but Lemkis is definitely bugged, so I was right, it is a visual glitch.
Wow.
Not just the graphic to the left there, but also on the actual game itself.
Wow, so Tristan is going around the outside of MF Underboss around turn 9, heading to turn 10 of Portimao, and there's contact between the two drivers, but luckily nobody spins out. Tristan does take P5 ahead of MF Underboss in P6. Of course, we've got to factor in Lemkis and Nice Job Mate. And it seems like it's quite a tight battle right now down the rest of the pack. Tristan is on the softs, as we know, ladies and gentlemen. He started on the mediums and it played right into his hands, and already he's made a move on MF Underboss. So yeah, maybe we are right, and maybe that grip advantage for Tristan means that he's just going to slap up the rest of the grid and able to maybe even take the lead.
He'll be a very strong contender for driver of the day, especially since he was spun around in lap 1, but also he was also a very strong contender is Poppy, but his positions right now kind of seem static.
Pantalon UK completely losing it into turn 3, I believe. He like completely cut the corner and everything. But we've got a tight battle in this midfield. I mean, if you spectate Phil Donald, I think that's a perfect driver to spectate just how close the field is. I think from Phil Donald all the way to Nice Job Mate, it is literally side by side, kind of front wing to rear wing. They really are right next to each other.
Single file, that is, yeah.
Single file, you're exactly right. Bit of a DRS train happening.
Quite more closer racing than we've seen in Tier 1. Me and Robert were kind of commanding this race. We do see Nice Job Mate kind of commanding this race, but not from a different postcode. So that is very good to see that we are. This is a fantastic race so far.
And Tristan unfortunately running wide on the exit of the penultimate turn, final braking zone of Portimao, and does not get a time penalty, but I imagine probably did get a warning. DRS has been enabled, and that means that the first DRS will be on the exit of turn 4, heading into that tight braking zone of turn 5, and I think the only driver who is going to get DRS is Tulip, who will get DRS on Tom Taylor, and if that's the case, then an overtake is really on the cards for Tulip right now. Tom Taylor doesn't get DRS, but Tulip does, but unfortunately he isn't able to make an overtake heading into turn 5, so all the positions will remain the same for now. Tristan all over the curbs, and in fact he's all over the back of Tulip right now, only a quarter of a second behind, and those softs, honestly, if you spectate Tristan right now, he looks like he's got about 2 seconds a lap extra pace in him compared to the other drivers. He's just not able to really convert that into anything right now because of the traffic, but the amount of grip that he's got, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe even goes for a double overtake on Tulip and Tom Taylor down the main straight.
So right, they're right up their gearboxes, and he's also got a very big bank of 60% ERS. Meanwhile, Tulip 40%, and Tom Taylor 75.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. But right now, coming out the exit of the final turn, Tristan hopefully all over the back of Tulip. We may see an overtake right now. Tulip trying to get Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor swerving all over the place, trying to break that toe, but it isn't enough. Tulip goes on the outside, and it's a pretty easy overtake for Tulip on Tom Taylor, but he runs wide on the exit of turn 1 and still retains the lead, but I believe Tulip would have received a warning. And now Tom Taylor right on the back of Tulip, heading through turn 4. He gets the DRS, Tulip doesn't. And unfortunately,
Tristan playing the very cautious game. Unsure if it's a smart thing to do, but avoiding incidents is a good way to go. But he is really being held up by those medium runners.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He's playing the slow game. He doesn't want to accidentally damage his wing or anything. But also,
you
you're
see
quite
the difference
right.
of grip on the soft tyre. Wow,
Honestly.
look at that. Tom Taylor struggling there on that turn 8, is that, I believe? Is that?
Yeah, it is. You're exactly right. Turn 8, and this is turn 10 right
to the
here.
track.
And yeah, you're quite right. He's got so much grip right now that he would easily be contending for fastest lap. But he's just not able to. He's got such significant amount of traffic right now.
That yellow, those curbs, sausage curbs on the inside, you gotta watch out for them.
Yeah, I'm not too sure why Tristan's clambering all over them to get as tight a line.
Yeah, it's the pressure,
as
really trying to get as close as possible.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But I think that we might see a move. He isn't trying to get into the slipstream, and he isn't deploying ERS. I wonder what strategy he has in mind right now.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but what's interesting is Tulip, I believe, has pulled out almost a whole second on the back of Tom Taylor. If you look at Tulip, he's only got 22% ERS, so he's obviously
Tristan
been using...
and Tom Taylor. So, switchback for Tristan.
Oh, yes.
Very nice.
You're precisely right. They're side by side now, heading into that heavy braking zone of turn 5, and it is Tristan who's later on the brakes. Tom Taylor tries to go for the switchback, but Tristan just glues himself to that inside curb, and Tom's vibing has just DNF'd on the exit of turn 2, and it's only a yellow flag, no safety car or VSC. Racing continues, but that's racing over for the Alpha Tauri driver of Tom's vibing.
That is very unfortunate. Scuff A is also out of the session. I'm unsure as to why that is. Not been really paying attention to that part of the track.
Yeah, I've only just noticed.
There's a lot of things going on here. Of course, Scuff A caused the safety car to come out. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh yes, of course. But yeah, so
Poppy, very close to United One, the constructors, competitors.
yeah, exactly. I think the most likely
Try
overtake
to get ahead.
right now may be Tulip on Lemkis. Lemkis doesn't have DRS. All of the rest of the drivers do. In fact, Poppy is all the way around the back of the United One. He's going to try and stick a wheel up the inside of turn 1, but he does back out. That does force United One to brake late, and he's on the yellow sausage curb, but he's completely lost the rear, and he's sliding all over the grass, and that Poppy has unfortunately been turned around, and he's trundling down the order. He's already down into P8. I believe that's actually P10, and virtual safety car has for some reason been called, and I'm not too sure why, but that could have been because Poppy, unfortunately, and I'm not too sure what's happening right now, Poppy, yeah, that is strange. Right, hang on a minute.
There's a very weird thing happening down in P9, 10, and 11.
Yes, yeah, I think that Poppy 1195, a virtual safety car was called as Poppy 1195 was kind of drifting all over the grass, but Phil Donald and MOC had quite rightly overtaken Poppy 1195. There's still more confusion. MOC trying to overtake Poppy 1195 and then giving the place back to him, but all of this messing about has meant that Tristan has pulled out 2.6 seconds on Poppy, around 2 seconds on Poppy. But yeah, the virtual safety car's ended. I'm not too sure if Poppy will give up the 2 positions. I doubt that he will. But yeah, that is unfortunate for MOC and Phil Donald because they did quite rightly overtake.
Very slow.
Yeah, Tristan's going extremely slow. It's because he's just dived into the pits, and I think that may be why the virtual safety car was called. He gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Yeah, you're right, Dark. He might have wing damage, but that's heartbreaking because he was in contention of possibly getting a high-scoring position in this race. The 2 Ferrari drivers are side by side through turn 3. Really right next to each other through turn 4.
And
MOC gets DRS on Poppy 1195 heading into turn 5. And it's a pretty simple overtake for MOC. But Poppy brakes later. He tries to go for the switchback, but there is not enough room on the inside. So Poppy 1195 does make the overtake. But Phil Donald has just overtaken Poppy completely off the track. And that means that Phil Donald, for some reason, has got P6. And Poppy, at the moment, is kind of all over the place. He's kind of oversteering like crazy. But
There'll
yeah, I
definitely
do.
be some reports going out, especially since the lobby is, I believe, it is kind of glitched, but not to the point where it's race ending or affecting. I think there is a small glitch with the yellow flags. As you can see, they are popping out of nowhere. Ooh, Phil
Oh
Donald
yeah.
clips the back of MOC there.
Yeah, I just noticed that actually.
Desperate to
Hopefully
get
there isn't
round him.
much.
Oh,
In fact, MOC's
that
going really slow. Not too sure what's happening. He is pushing. It's just that Phil Donald's just got that much pace in him, quite clearly. And
8 laps
surely,
rolled soft, and he's pushing very hard.
yeah, surely this overtake is all on the cards for Phil Donald. MOC completely runs out a battery on the straight, and yeah, it's as simple as that for Phil Donald, already overtaken. But
Ooh,
MOC
the
goes
switchback.
on the yellow sausage curves on the inside, trying to overtake Phil Donald, and it seems to work. He kind of knocks Phil Donald wide a little bit there, and MOC does take the P5 off Phil Donald, but Phil Donald's now got DRS on MOC heading into turn 5. And there's a bit of swerving right there, but Phil Donald, it seems like he's got the overtake. But MOC glues himself to the inside, and they're side by side yet still heading into turn 8. Samsung, and it's MOC who retains the lead, retains that P5. And that was an incredible battle between the two drivers.
Very, very clean battle between those guys there.
Chills
Very
F1,
impressive.
unfortunately oversteered on the exit of turn 8, Samsung. And it means that Gooders have got a significant speed advantage on Chills. And hopefully, yeah, Chills has lost it again. He's completely lost his wing now. He had hot tyres through turn 10. And unfortunately, Infamous Aim has just gone into the back of Chills F1. And I believe Chills F1 may get a time penalty, but he doesn't. Infamous Aim retires from the session, and a full course safety car has just been called. Dark Inferno, what just happened right there? Chills F1 loses it through turn 8. His tyres were red hot. He loses it once again through turn 10. And on rejoining the track, potentially it was dangerously, Tom Taylor's just been disqualified from the session for ignoring a yellow flag. And in fact, he's in the back of Nice Job Mate. Pan over to Nice Job Mate and Tom Taylor.
I've
What's
seen
just
that.
happened?
What on earth is happening there?
What on earth is happening here, ladies and gentlemen? Nice Job Mate has just... I'm not too sure what's happened. He's pretty much last on the grid. We may have to get another red flag. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really
Pan over
confused.
to Emma Thunderboss and the safety car. Let me guess, there's a very strange glitch here.
Yeah, and Phil Donald has just lost his wing. He went right into the back of MF Underboss. Phil Donald's just lost his wing. And if we don't restart with only 3 laps remaining, then a lot of drivers are going to be unfairly DNF'd. I mean, Tom Taylor does not deserve to be disqualified from the race when he was running in P4 for the entire race.
What happened though? Because it looked like he made contact with Nice Job Mate. So if that is the case, I don't think it was down to the game. Maybe disqualification is a bit unfair. But then again, this is very strange. Nice Job Mate is still in the race, but he's
completely glitched out for me. It says that he's in the pits for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure whether we're going to red flag the race and have a 3-lap showdown for the end of the race. But as it stands at the moment, it's really shaken up the grid, and the leader of this race at the moment is actually the United 199. Once you factor in all the time penalties of the drivers ahead, and the fact that Nice Job Mate has completely disappeared from the universe, according to this game.
Yeah.
Lemkis has, he's been in P2 this entire time. If you pan over to him, he's like all the way back in last place. I believe he's either lapped the safety car, or he's... Oh, yeah, that's it. Because he's apparently 5 laps behind. Gets a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Tom Taylor, even though Tom Taylor's already DNF'd. And I was spectating Lemkis, and all he did was go through turn 8.
Is Tom Taylor actually DNF'd?
No, yeah, he is. Yeah,
so
he's disqualified.
He got a penalty?
And Lemkis has just gotten a time penalty for contacting with him. I mean, I'm looking at the admin chat. I'm not too sure if Steph... I recommend that we go for a 3-lap showdown. That is the most fair way. Steph's chatting in the...
Steph's saying that we should end the race at lap 28 and have those positions recorded, because that's when stuff kicked off. So, if we all are in agreement...
Oh no, to be honest, I think that we should take the positions from lap 28 and go for a 5-lap showdown. I think that'll be much fairer and much more entertaining.
We could do that. Let me just pull up
because we can do a 5-lap sprint race. And Steph's saying it's a bit late, but a 5-lap sprint race only takes all of about 10 minutes to complete.
It is not too late, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think what we could do is, you're right, we could do that, but I'm just looking at the rulebook right now, and it's saying if a race session is red flagged above 6% of the race distance, the race may be cancelled or postponed. Drivers who are unable to join, so either all points for lap 28, or we can do a 5-lap sprint.
Don't do showdown because it removes the penalties that people have. Cole was epic. That is a very good point, Cole, but we will make a note of all of the time penalties that people have if we did do that. So not necessarily, well, kind of the time penalties that everybody has. So I'll quickly make a note of all the time penalties now. Or we could do it from lap 28. I'm not too sure what's happening. I mean, what's happening right now on screen? I'm not too sure.
I have no
I mean, look, just pan over to Chills F1 right now. It's like a war zone. I'm really unsure what's happening. Obviously, this race is completely abandoned. This lap 32, regardless to whether we go for a restart, a 5-lap showdown, and we rejig the grid from lap 28, or whether we completely postpone the race. I mean, we've got some great racing happening. It's a bit of a social race right now. Absolute carnage happening, and I think some drivers are still under the impression that this is the race. Like, they are racing.
I think that is nice. Yeah, a lot of people have just DNF there. I don't think.
20-second time penalty for the United 199 for a severe collision with Pudnick. Now that must have been quite the collision to get a 20-second time penalty.
Indeed, this lobby is very glitched. But it only really happened at lap 8, which is very, very strange. So we had 28 laps of decent racing until this.
Yeah, it's such a shame. Like, I remember on launch, F1 2021 was just such a mess, and I thought that it was quite
DNF
fixed.
in the session, not DNF, lost his wing.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. But yeah, I thought that most of the glitches have been fixed, but recently we've just had absolute anarchy happening in all of the championships. I remember the championship race I did not long ago. We it was kind of all glitched and drivers got DNF'd. And if you remember the race in Austria, it all kind of freaked out. But
yeah, I do remember that. It was very weird.
It was very weird.
At that point, the entire lobby was severely glitched. This is only a glitch that's occurred lap 28, so I think we could definitely have to do a showdown or something.
Yes,
I'm talking to Steph right now.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, obviously you're probably confused as to what's happening on stream. The game's glitched out once again, and we've got two decisions right now, and it's down to the admins and mainly Steph as well, the main tier 2 admin. We are definitely going to either take the result from lap 28 before it glitched out, or go for a 5-lap sprint race from lap 28 to 33, as if lap 28 to 33 never happened. So what you're seeing on screen right now is completely redundant, because lap 28 was before it all kind of kicked off with all the DNFs that Chills F1 unfortunately caused by entering or kind of dangerously rejoining track and DNFing Infamous.
Okay, I have news. Steph wants to do the 5-lap sprint.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, MOC LFC wins, supposedly, but he doesn't really, because right now, as we quit, and again, apologies for this. I mean, I had to apologise for Austria though, but it's not anybody's fault. It's just kind of the game being the game and glitching out and being a bit of a mess. We're going to be doing a 5-lap sprint race from lap 28 to 33 because the glitch happened on lap 28. And yeah, just bear with us for a few minutes, but honestly, don't be going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the 5-lap sprint race that you've all been waiting for. This is going to be one of the best moments from VFL. So
this is it. Should I invite the ones who DNF'd earlier on that race, or?
I wouldn't if I was you. The question is whether we're going to take Chills F1 and Infamous Ames collision, because that technically happened on lap 28.
Indeed. Okay, lap 28.
and Infamous Aim DNF'd.
It is difficult to...
So what you could do is we could take the incident between Infamous Aim and Chills F1, say that that's the red flag, Infamous Aim is DNF'd, Chills F1 is in like P9 or wherever he was.
Yeah, Chills was P8, so I'm looking at lap 28, and I think we should go from those positions there. Alright, I'm going to invite the appropriate people to the session. I am inviting Ailby, no I'm not. I am inviting Chills. I'll try my best to do this as fast as possible. And hopefully with a new lobby we should be okay. But I am very glad that we've got a more structured way of dealing with this now.
Yeah, so it is actually quite nice, the structure, and of course there's a little bit of a delay from when the race is red flagged to when we restart. There's quite a significant delay in Real F1 as well from when there's a red flag, and there's 2 red flags this
Like
race.
15, yeah, that is very unfortunate with the red flags.
Yeah, massive collision at the start of the race, and we ended up... Right, hang on a sec, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, so massive red flag at the start of the race, obviously, because there was a massive collision. So the race was red flagged, and now on lap 28, with only 5 laps to go, bit of an Abu Dhabi situation here. Collision between Infamous Aim and Chills F1. Infamous is DNF'd. Chills F1 gets a kind of a different, a second chance even. And we're restarting with red flag in the race with 5 laps to go, and we're going for a mad sprint race, and luckily the positions won't be glitched either.
Being released.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. The positions won't be glitched, and it will finally say that Mr. Nice Job Mate is in P1. I tell you what will be heartbreaking though, Dark. Nice Job Mate has been leading this race pretty much every lap by about 3 to 4 seconds. Imagine if he gets a poor start, Lemkiss dives up the inside of turn 1 on the red flag restart, and he ends up winning this race.
That'll be a heartbreaking, but we are taking into consideration the time penalties that those drivers have.
Yes, of course, that's another thing. Right, hang on. The viewers will not be able to listen. That's another thing.
Have we got everyone?
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, no we haven't. Chills F1 hasn't joined. The time penalties that the drivers had before this race will all be considered, even the ones that will be removed, just to make it fair. Of course, you're not going to be able to see them on your screen, but that doesn't matter. Right, hang on. So, Chills F1's having issues. He has to reflag his restart his app. Right, hang on a sec.
That's okay. So, Nice Job Mate was leading this race. LMKFS P2, Top T3, Tom Turd P4, P5 is MF Underboss, and so on. That should be alright.
Yes. Just tell me the grid rundown again.
Hang on. Just looking through Discord. Seeing if we've got everyone. So we have Nice Job Mate in P1, Lem1 KSS, P2, we have Top in P3, then we have Tom Taylor in P4, and then P5 we have MF Underboss, United 1, MOC, Phil Donald, Poppy, Chills F1, Gutters, Pantheon UK, Tristan, Pudnick, and Infamous Aim. The last positions of the grid. And we will not make it customary to be on a tyre that you were previously on. I believe Rose missing 3.
No, I believe everyone will start on the sauce, because that's red flag procedures. Everyone gets a free pit stop.
They get free pit stops, yeah, indeed. So, do we have everyone? Not yet. Almost there. Just waiting on Chills F1.
Oh yeah, he's
Pudnick.
just joined.
Okay, That's
And now you
cool.
have to do the grid now before you restart because you have to configure the grid whilst everybody is joined.
I'm just waiting on Podnik, but I will
Okay.
do it now. Okay, so we have Nice Job Mate in P1. We have Lem. So I'm glad I know where the positions are. Toll up P3. Yeah, just to reinstate, the new drivers doing a fantastic job in Tier 2 as it stands currently. You have MF Underboss, United and MFC. Phil and Poppy. Phil. Poppy. Chills and Gutters. Panthlon. Tristan. Pudnik. Alright, we are ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, for 5 lap sprint.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I don't understand why some people have left the stream. Only 9 people are watching live, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure I'll be talking to PJ about this one. He always seems to know what has actually happened, PJ, in the Tier 2 races a little bit. So I think that he kind of watches afterwards. So PJ may be watching this eventually. But even so, ladies and gentlemen,
hopefully.
don't be going anywhere. You've been watching for quite a while. We had quali, we had that incredibly dangerous race start, that massive collision, a red flag. We had a great race for 28 laps, and then the lobby kind of decided to just crumble. And we've red flagged the race on lap 28 after the incident between Chills F1 and Infamous Aim, and now we have a 5-lap sprint race showdown. It will be Nice Job Mate in P1, Lemkiss in P2, Tom Taylor in P3. I believe. I mean, you tell me. Do you remember the rest of the grid? Tom Taylor in P3. Is it MF Underboss in P4? And then MOC in P5, Poppy in P6.
It's United 1, then it's MOC.
Ah.
Then we've got Phil, 2 Forest separated by Phil, and then we have Chills.
Wow. Man,
Yeah,
I've just got such a massive grin on my face. Will it be a formation lap?
It will not be a formation lap, no, it's 5 lap.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, just so I can prepare, there will not be a formation lap. All drivers starting on softs. I've got a massive grin on my face right now. I just cannot wait for this to happen. This is like the stuff of dreams right now. A 5-lap sprint race between every driver. Nice Job Mate has been leading pretty much every single lap of this race by over 3 seconds. Will he be able to take it home when it matters with only 5 laps to go? The red flag was called. Heartbreak for Nice Job Mate. The red flag, the debris has finally been cleared. The drivers are finally back on the grid for this 5-lap sprint race. There will not be a formation lap, so prepare yourselves because the race is starting straight away. So ladies and gentlemen, for the final time today, hopefully the final time today, with Nice Job Mate on pole alongside Lemkiss. It's lights out and away we go already, and it's a pretty good start for Nice Job Mate. He does retain the lead. Lemkiss in P2. Tom Taylor's going for a move. He's hitting all of the brake boards. He stays in P4 and Chillup stays in P3, but MOC and Tom Taylor are now side by side. MOC does go for a dangerous move and he's spun around. MOC's completely lost it. He loses a position to Tom Taylor. He loses it to MF Underboss. He loses it to United 199, and both Ferraris are out of the race. Both Ferraris. In fact, there's a massive crash. Chills F1, MOC, LFC and Poppy 1195 have all been taken out. Poppy 1195 DNFing, an absolute carnage on the restart of this 5-lap sprint race. And it was all going so well.
Insane, I've just watched that. I'm so unsure what happened there. The Williams of United one stuck his wheel up on the inside of, I think that's Poppy and United. That will definitely be reported.
Heartbreak. That is literally like Spain 2016. MOC's given up. He's doing donuts. But yeah, Spain 2016 style. Both Ferrari drivers take each other out. And I think there'll be penalties for MOC because what happened was he dive bombed Tom Taylor in turn 3. And then he spun around and lost the rear. And then I think he oversteered into Poppy. And then both of the Ferraris ended up taking out Chill's F1. So I think that there will be a penalty, definitely heading to MAC and maybe heading to both Ferraris.
The question remains, will the positions of the Ferrari count in the 5-lap sprint or the previous race, as we basically did the entire race distance, and it might be a little bit unfair to decide on positions on this 5-lap sprint?
No, the positions will be decided on this 5-lap sprint. I'm almost certain of it, to be honest. I mean, I don't know for certain, but I'm almost certain. What's the point in doing the 5-lap sprint race otherwise? The thing's kind of all completely glitching out. It says that Tulip's in P9. It's completely glitched out. In reality, ladies and gentlemen, we have Nice Job Mate in P1 and Lemkis still in P2, Tulip in P3 and Tom Taylor in P4. And we have a bit of a battle happening down the grid between, I think the closest battle is Tristan and Pudnick. And in fact, we've got a bit of a spin. Pantalon UK has spun around turn 8 Samsung. And now they're side by side and they've just taken each other out. Tristan and Pudnick around turn 11, I believe, have completely taken each other out. And MOC's been DQ'd, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, Tristan and Pudnick completely taking each other out around turn 9 and losing a lot of positions. And now Infamous Aim has ended up overtaking. He's probably now in about P6. But yeah, Pudnick and Tristan, absolute carnage between the two drivers. Lap 3.
Phil Donald, I think, overtook Emma from... Oh, there's contact between those two drivers, but they're very close up on the road. I really can't see who is where, as the grid is everywhere. But Emma Funboss is side by side with the Ferrari of... The Red Bull of United one. There should be a Williams...
Oh, hang on, I'm all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologise. Tom Taylor has just made a move on MF Underboss, but MF Underboss has come back. They're banging wheels. They're side by side through turn 9. MF Underboss is surely going to try and make an overtake. And in fact, it isn't MF Underboss, it's Tolop. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. Tolop has unfortunately lost the position to Tom Taylor. So that means that Tom Taylor is now in P3 and Tolop is in P4. But Tolop goes into the back of Tom Taylor and this carnage. He's just hit into Phil Donald and hit into MF Underboss. He's now lost about 5 or 6 positions. It's now MF Underboss who is in P4, Tom Taylor in P3. He lost the position to the United 199 who's actually in the Red Bull now, and Phil Donald. Absolute carnage. I don't know why United 199's in the Red Bull. He is a Williams driver. So we have Tom Taylor in P3. Obviously, Lemkis in P2 and Nice Job Mate leading. I don't think Lemkis is going to be able to make a move on Nice Job Mate. But I tell you what, he's incredibly close. Lemkis, on the penultimate lap of this race, might make a move on Nice Job Mate, who's been leading this race from pretty much lap 1, heading into turn 1 next lap. In P3, we have Tom Taylor. In P4, we now have MF Underboss. Behind him is Phil Donald. In P6, I believe, is the United 199. And just behind him is Tolop after crashing in the most spectacular way. Infamous Aim is side by side with Gooders battling for about P8 or P9. Gooders ends up getting ahead. And obviously, this isn't factoring in all of the penalties. This is just talking about the on-track drama right now, because I've actually forgotten about the penalties, but they will be added post-race.
Yeah, a lot of carnage and heartbreak, especially for the two Ferraris. That will cause some serious controversy.
Yeah, controversy.
As we are talking in the admin chat right now, Steph has decided that is the wrong decision to set up a 5-lap sprint, especially at what's happened now.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty certain that the 5-lap sprint race positions will be counted, and it's kind of... I know where he's saying that it's unfair that, you know, Poppy has been doing well, and then they red flag the race, and then he gets his win robbed, but that's basically what happened to Lewis Hamilton.
And that is I think that's United. No, that's Lemkis. He's spun and he's taken out a lot of people.
And Tom Taylor has just completely DNF'd from the race. Absolute heartbreak. Tom Taylor has been leading this race, or at least in the top 5, for pretty much the entire race, and he's now DNF'd. This is absolute carnage. Nice job, mate. Still leads. Behind him in P2 is that MF Underboss, and Phil Donald is in P3. I'm not too sure whether there was contact or anything between Tom Taylor and Lemkis. I'm not too sure what happened.
Lost the back end of the exit of turn 5 there and managed to be a roadblock. I think he now has wind damage as well.
Yeah, so United won 99 in P4, and just behind all of those drivers is Tulip in P5, and then we got a battle between Infamous Aim, who was able to race. I thought that he DNF'd, and the two Hasses of Tristan and Gooders as well. But yeah, that is, again, on the final lap of this race. Heartbreak for Tom Taylor. He looked like he was going to get a podium this race, ladies and gentlemen, but it doesn't matter. But credit to nice job, mate, after leading every single, or almost every single lap of this race by a huge margin. He maintains his lead throughout this 5-lap sprint race and wins in P2. Out of nowhere is MF Underboss. In P3, the United 199. In P4, Tulip, and Lemkis, who we thought was going to take a P2 all this time, has ended up crashing into Tom Taylor on the final lap of the race and gets demoted all the way down to about P11. And Tom Taylor as well means that he's not just going to be finishing in P7, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to be finishing all the way in P14, I believe. I mean, I'm not too sure what to make of this, because I do understand that a lot of drivers, you know, they were going to finish good points finishes, and they ended up getting robbed after the red flag on the final lap of the race. Poppy, MOC, Tom Taylor, but at the same time, I think that all of those incidents weren't caused because of the red flag. They were caused, you know, if they happened on lap 2 of the race, we would just accept it and move on. Poppy and MOC ended up hitting into each other, and Tom Taylor is another victim of ghosting being turned off. Unfortunately, Lemkis losing it and getting into Tom Taylor. So that's what I mean. I think it's, yeah, you can say it's unfair that they get their race robbed with 1 lap to go, but that's happened many, many times. I mean, look at kind of with like 4 or 5 laps to go for in Azerbaijan Grand Prix, for Max Verstappen ends up getting a puncture and DNFs. You know, terrible things like this happen with only a few laps to go.
The issue with that is that the rulebook actually decrees that if a session is red flag 6% after the race distance, full points will be awarded for the last recorded positions. So going by the rulebook, if we are to scrap this race, which I think every admin so far, apart from you, maybe is looking to use for lap 28 positions, it is the only possible fair way of doing this. Yeah, I do understand that it happens, you know, 5-lap sprint, but also we have it in the rulebook. If that wasn't in the rulebook, then we would take the positions from this 5-lap sprint. However, it is clearly stated in the rulebook that that is what we should do. So that is a sole fault from the admins. No one will take sole responsibility for that. It was a wrong call. It happens. We will learn, obviously. But
I don't know. Yeah, I know what you mean, but at the same time, when was the last time that the FIA actually followed the rulebook? And after that,
yeah, well, that's real life. They've made mistakes as well, but
yeah, but I mean,
trying not to do that as we're going around in circles here.
Yeah, unfortunately, a couple of the drivers are unlapped or they're backwards, so I'm just going to leave the lobby. I'm not too sure. We're still unsure whether we're going to use the positions. I guess we're going to have to kind of take it to a vote, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Last time we took it to a vote, it all kind of kicked off. On whether or not we're using the position from the 5-lap sprint race that we just did, or from the lap 28 kind of disaster. But even so, what we just witnessed was incredible. With only a few laps to go, Poppy 1195 crashes into MOC, his Ferrari teammate, and Tom Taylor getting taken out by Lemkis on the final lap of the race. That is absolute heartbreak. I'm just going to quickly check Discord to see whether any drivers are asking for an interview. But man, that is unfortunate. I'll quickly ask. You got rid of the interview channel, Dark.
I have not. It is in the general section.
Is it? No, it ain't. Social, don't you mean? Is it in
Post
social?
race, yes, no, general. Post race interview.
I can't see it.
Can you not?
No.
Should be able to do.
Oh, there we go. Now I can see it. Post-race interview. There we go. Thank you, Steph. Okay, I will ask.
We could also ask if we should use the sprint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Tristan wants an interview. And we'll invite Tom Taylor as well. That's a brilliant couple of pairs. Tristan and Tom Taylor and nobody else. I feel sorry for anybody else who wants it.
I will ask the question if we should use the sprint or something else. So you can do the other things. Maybe ask questions about the race prior to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's Tristan and there's Tom Taylor, both drivers invited. You've already created a party with the select players. No, create a new party. Wow. But yeah, Chills F1 in the chat real quick isn't very happy with the what happened with the Ferraris. Again, it seems like the Ferraris in the chat are actually quite upset with what happened, but I just kind of look at it like this, that it was literally a collision between the two Ferraris. We did the race restart and the two Ferrari drivers just took each other out. If that had happened on lap 3, they'd be angry, but we'd all just kind of move on with it. I just don't know what to think. I mean, I do know what to think. I think that we should take the results from the sprint race 100%. But anyway, Tristan, ladies and gentlemen, and Tom Taylor have both just joined, so I think we're going to hand it over to, just because of the drama a little bit, we're going to hand it over to Tom Taylor first, unfortunately, for Tristan, just because that was absolute carnage. So Tom Taylor, talk me through it. Incredible qualifying result. I think you ended up qualifying P5, beating Scruff by 1 position. That's brilliant. Then in the race, you were kind of all over the back of the rest of the cars. You were pretty much in the top 5 for the entire race. Then, obviously, it all goes to town, you know, on lap 28. You end up getting disqualified. We do the 5-lap sprint. I mean, what happened, Dark? Tom Taylor, even. What happened? Mm. Yeah. I mean, that just sounds, yeah, terrible, really.
Can I just point out no one can hear Tom?
Oh, no. Yeah, fair enough. Thanks for pointing that out. But yeah, so real quick, what you were saying is that it was a pretty decent start. You were kind of battling with Tulip a little bit, and you ended up basically getting really close to the 2 drivers in front. Nice job, mate, and Lemkis. And then you were going round turn 4, that kind of uphill left-hander, and you just saw a Red Bull parked in the middle of the track. There's nothing that you can do, obviously.
No,
and
but it's also not the Red Bull's fault.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem with those racing incidents. And that's why we need ghosting on, ladies and gentlemen, for next season. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, you're the first person that we're going to ask this to. Probably going to ask everyone. Should we take the result from the 5-lap sprint race or from the lap 28 red flag?
The 5-lap sprint race, because all of them drivers that have done the 5-lap sprint race and done well will literally be robbed. So I think it's only fair to use the sprint race.
Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely heartbreaking for you, though. You are definitely the driver who has been robbed the most. You were definitely almost guaranteed a top 5 finish. You would have finished on the podium, I think, if you didn't DNF, and now you end up finishing, I think, about P15. So unlucky to you, but it's not too much of a worry. I think Alfa Romeo are in a really good situation with the Constructors' Championship, and when it comes to the Drivers' Championship, there's quite a big gap between the midfield anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about kind of the result today. But I mean, yeah, kind of looking forward to season 3, in which, because you've got so much pace and the performances that you're putting in Tier 1, I mean, hopefully that you can maybe even drive in Tier 1 and go for like some sort of Drivers' Championship or something. But even so, I do apologise for, well, I don't know why, but I just feel so sorry for that ending, man. It was just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm not gonna go T1 next season. I don't think. I think I'm gonna stay at Alpha for next season.
Well, sounds good. Even so, I think we're gonna have to move over to Tristan real quick, our final interviewee for today. I'm not actually too sure where you qualified or what kind of happened during the main race. So first of all, let's kind of talk about that.
Well, I may or may not have invalidated my laps whilst going for the dry laps, so I was in P17 to start the race.
Yes.
I crawled it back to I think it was P5.
Yeah.
And then on lap 27, one lap before the restart calculations and whatever, I span and hit a wall. And then that meant I had to replace my wing, which meant I started the sprint in P13. I think we calculated it and I managed to go back up to P6 in the sprint.
Yeah.
But because, for me, everyone was like a lap behind or whatever, it was just really weird.
Yeah, exactly.
There was 3 cars in front of me which weren't there.
Yeah, it's really weird, especially like when I was doing the commentary, I kept on having to flick from like the top of the scoreboard all the way down to the bottom, even though drivers were side by side. Like the entire weekend, the scoreboard's been completely glitched out or whatever the timetable, and it's just been weird. Like we've had drivers that are actually in P2 say that they're in P17 and stuff like that. It's been absolutely crazy. But it seemed like the sprint race kind of worked out for you. You and Gooders were kind of taking on quite a lot of drivers for Haas.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's unfortunate. Again, we're going to ask you, Tristan. Do you think we should take the result from the sprint or the red flag?
My my opinion may be slightly biased, but I think the sprint race definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm glad that we tried it at least. It's kind of divided the server a little bit, but it was definitely fun to watch. But I think we're going to have to leave it here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's quite late.
Before we go, the admins have decided to take the finishing positions from lap 28 because of a rule written in the rulebook which states, I'll read it out actually, if I can get it up. Bear with me.
Dark, is this some rule you've just written in literally
no,
if
ago? You look at the announcements now, from Tier 2, you will see it.
No.
1 second. So it says, if it works, if a session is red flagged above 60% of the race distance, the race may be cancelled or postponed. Full points will be awarded to the race reaches 50% of the race distance. That means I'm
P3. Let's go.
Yep. It's because we would have used a sprint if that rule was not there, but because all the admins have decided that as well, because we wrote that rule and then we decided not to follow that rule, so it's only fair to get back onto that rule. So we do apologise for having to start up a 5-lap sprint, which might have angered people that are not going to use those positions, but we are solely looking at the rulebook here.
Oh dear. Well, that is the unfortunate conclusion to the race. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed. So unfortunately, this has been one of the longest streams. It's been about 2 hours long, and I'll see you all.
Highs and lows, a lot of entertainment, but we will see you guys later.
Next week. Goodbye.